Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Coincidence? I think not. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere, even at 30,000 feet. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
No purchase necessary. VGW. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Hey guys, it is Ryan. I'm not sure if you know this about me, but I'm a bit of a fun fanatic when I can. I like to work, but I like fun too. It's a thing. And now the truth is out there. I can tell you about my favorite place to have fun. Chumba Casino. They have hundreds of social casino style games to choose from with new games released each week. You can play for free anytime, anywhere. And each day brings a new chance to collect daily bonuses. So join me in the fun. Sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
In the spirit of reconciliation, the Theatre Thoughts podcast acknowledges the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their connections to land, sea and community. We pay our respects to their elders past and present and extend that respect to all traditional custodians of the land on which our episodes are recorded.
Well, Shane's not a slob, but I am a neat freak. I'm not a germaphobe, but I'm a neat freak. My house always has to look like a hotel before I go to bed.
Yeah.
I'm one of those. And Shane's not like that.
Yeah.
He'll have a shower, wash his undies while he's having a shower, then hang them up in the dressing room. And I'll go into his room before the show and I get a little bit of anxiety.
Oh my God.
I just want to fold up his clothes and put them away.
Yeah.
And so that is very Oscar and Felix of the office.
You're listening to the Theatre Thoughts podcast, where we dive deep into the world of theatre and celebrate the magic of the stage. I'm your host, Justin Clark, and I'm here to guide you through insightful conversations, behind-the-scenes stories, and thought-provoking discussions about everything theatre-related. Before we dive into today's episode, I want to remind you to connect with us on social media. You can follow us on Instagram at TheatreThoughtsAUS and TTPod_official for updates, behind-the-scenes content, and exclusive interviews. You can also find us on TikTok at Theatre Thoughts Australia for even more theatre goodness. And if you'd like to support the podcast and gain access to exclusive content, consider subscribing to our Patreon. So whether you're a seasoned theatregoer or just starting your journey, please sit back, relax, and enjoy this brand new episode of the Theatre Thoughts podcast. Welcome everyone to a very, very special episode of the Theatre Thoughts podcast. I have a guest on who I'm over the moon to talk to today. So we have an award-winning and critically acclaimed performer on both stage and screen who has entertained Australia for over 30 years. His most notable role has been Peter Allen in the Australian hit production of The Boy From Oz, which ran for over 1,000 shows nationally. On television, he's become known often as the controversial judge on the Channel 7 hit series Dancing with the Stars, and he's the recipient of multiple awards, including the Mo Awards Variety Club Heart Award, Glug Award, Green Room Award, 2 Australian Dance Awards, and a Helpman Award, is none other than Todd McKenney. Thank you so much for jumping on.
My absolute pleasure. Than's for inviting me.
I'm over the moon.
And it's been 40 years.
40 years now.
Yeah, so it was 40 years on June the 21st last year. And it was 40 years for me and Rhonda Birchmore because we started in the same show on the same day. And Rhonda and I are still dear, dear, dear. She's one of my closest friends. And so her and I actually got together on the 21st of June, 2023 and celebrated together. So yeah, 40 years.
Oh my God. Congratulations. Yeah. That's a massive feat.
It is, God. But it's still here.
Yeah. Well, all the best for it as well. I mean, you're on to talk about The Odd Couple, which is coming to the Theatre Royal in June this year, and it's starring none other than Shane Jacobson with you, which I didn't know you guys were such close friends.
Oh, Shane and I are really, really dear friends. Like we met on, I'd seen his movies. I'd seen Kenny and I think Oddball and a couple of the others, and always liked him as a personality and actor. I love him as an actor. And then he and I met on Channel 7's strip show. Well, it was a celebrity strip show in aid of mental health called The All New Monty. he and I co-hosted it together, and then I choreographed it, and I took 8 celebrities and had to teach them the strip from Dirty Dancing, from The Real Full Monty.
Yes.
And so the show was called The All New Monty, and then Shane was one of the contestants or one of the participants as well. So 45 minutes after I met Shane, I was asking him to take his clothes off, and so it was a great icebreaker. And so Shane, they said to me that the morning of the show, we were in a coffee shop over the road from the Enmore Theatre, and the producer said, "Oh, you're going to meet Shane this morning?" And I said, "Oh, fantastic." He came into the coffee shop. And Shane's a storyteller, and he'll tell a story to you, the person on the street, the shop assistant, the taxi driver, anybody. Shane will have a chat. And he came in and he plastered me back to my seat with this chat about his sons.
Amazing.
And I felt like I was in a hurricane. And then I kind of started actually listening to Shane's story, and it was really good. And we just became really great friends from that second.
That is so cool. I've only had the pleasure of meeting Shane once, and it was when I was not really young. I was a young teenager, I had more hair at the time. And he was in Guys and Dolls at the Capitol. And my mum took me out afterwards, and we met a couple of them, and I met Shane, and I was just I remember he was a storyteller then as well. He talked about because it was back when I wanted to be an actor, and he was like, so I did theatre here and I did theatre here, and this is what you need to do, and this is what you should do, and he was so lovely.
That's the thing with Shane. He's like every man's man, because we've done, I think, 3 or 4 television shows together now. We've traveled around the world together. We've shooting a show for Channel 7. We've done stage shows. We did Rocky Horror. We did Hairspray. And so I know Shane, we could finish each other's sentences. And we've never got on each other's nerves. We're complete opposites. Shane always says that if you looked at my stats and his stats on paper, it should never work.
Yeah, right.
But for some reason it does. And I think it's because of Shane. So he's at home, whether it's backstage with a group of gay thespians, as he is with the crusty demons of dirt out of Orong Raceway. And I just watch him as a chameleon. And people stop him all the time, and he's always got time for people. And The Odd Couple is actually a little bit of typecasting for both of us, I have.
Yeah, I was reading it, and because everyone knows The Odd Couple, the premise, and I was just kind of looking at the bio just to get it back in my head, and I was like, oh, so it's just basically Todd and Shane. That's just it's perfect.
It is. Well, Shane's not a slob, but I am a neat freak. I'm not a germaphobe, but I'm a neat freak. My house always has to look like a hotel before I go to bed.
Yeah,
I'm one of those, and Shane's not like that.
Yeah,
he'll have a shower, wash his undies while he's having a shower, then hang them up in the dressing room. And I'll go into his room before the show, and I get a little bit of anxiety.
Oh my God.
I just want to fold up his clothes and put them away.
Yeah.
And so that is very Oscar and Felix in The Odd Couple.
That's perfect. Sure. Well, we'll get into The Odd Couple throughout our chat, but I'd love to delve into who you are first. Because you're a household name when it comes to theatre, and you've done heaps of television work as well. So I know most people in Australia would know you, but for anyone who's, overseas listening or has never watched any theatre in their life, tell us a little bit about where your journey started.
Well, I'm the son of a dancing teacher and the grandson of a dancing teacher. So my grandmother was a dancing teacher. She taught Highland dancing and ballet dancing. And then my mum taught as well. My mum had a school in Perth with about 400 students for my whole childhood. So I just grew up in the dancing school environment. And I also did competitive ballroom dancing at the same time. But my heart was really always in theatrical, just dancing, really.
Yeah.
And so in 1983, there was an audition for Andrew Lloyd Webber's musical Song and Dance. And I just threw my hat in the ring and applied to audition and flew over to Adelaide and auditioned. And I got the job. They were looking for an acrobat, and I was an acrobat as well. And so I started in musical theatre, and that just really just changed my life. And I've done, I don't know, it's coming up to 40 shows, 40 professional productions now. And really never looked back. But Dancing with the Stars, being a judge on Dancing with the Stars for 20 years, that really opened the doors for me, because that was when free-to-air television was really much more powerful than it is today, because the streaming services weren't there and there weren't a lot of other distractions. And Dancing with the Stars was the most popular show in Australia. So 3 million people at its peak were watching it. And in Australia, that's a huge number.
It's massive, yeah.
In England and America, they're up in the 30 and 40 millions. But for Australia, 3 million, changed my life. It really it got to a point where I really couldn't walk down the street without somebody telling me what they thought of me. Because I like to call myself the honest judge on Dancing with the Stars. But everybody wanted to tell me what they thought of me, and the show was enormously popular. But what it ultimately did was open doors for me to be able to fill theatres, and whether that's with my own show or musicals, it put me on the map. It made me sellable from a producer's point of view, with all of this stuff, which I'm really grateful for. So that was the power of television. And it's just, I really haven't looked back. And my finger is in a lot of different pies, and I think that's been the key really to why I'm still around. So I've done radio and television presenting, plus sort of hosting roles on TV, and and then a variety of stuff on stage, from straight plays to musicals. And so it's all because of a little dancing show, really.
Yeah, just a little one. Yeah, I do remember watching, Dancing with the Stars, and I'd see the trailers for it back in the day, like on television, be like, "What's Todd McKenney got to say about so and so?" And you got this like cheeky look on your face.
And they'd superimpose flames coming out my ears, and there was one where I had devil horns and a trident, and all of that stuff.
So good. But even when I was reading your bio, like I obviously knew you've done a lot of shows, but even like I didn't know, for instance, that you played Frankenfurter in Rocky Horror. So like I was just like, oh, you've really done it all. And then obviously Boy from Oz is your big one.
Well, Boy from Oz really put me on the map. I suppose actually it's probably Boy from Oz rather than before Dancing with the Stars that really made me, even though I was kind of doing well in musical theatre, what Boy from Oz did, it was sort of the first Aussie show that celebrated the life of Peter Allen, which Australians loved. But I think it was the first Aussie show that actually got a new audience in to see musical theatre, because they loved Peter Allen, who was such a celebrated Australian and a great Australian. And so to play such an iconic role, suddenly my name was much more out there than just playing the lead in 42nd Street or whatever.
Yeah, that's right.
And so I think without the success of The Boy from Oz, Dancing with the Stars producers probably wouldn't have looked at me. But because I'd had that success, that was really the tipping point, I think.
Yeah, it all kind of feeds into one another, doesn't it? Especially in like the entertainment world. Yeah.
Well, it does. And that's why I love working for John Frost, our most prolific musical theatre producer. Massive. Because because John, we sort of started out at the same time, him in the boss world and me in the, thespian world as a cast member. And we've sort of both worked our way up on different sides of the business, and he employs me more than anybody else. But I think one of the reasons is because John is acutely aware of the power of having a name in a show, and he understands how one side of showbiz, whether it be television or celebrity, feeds the other side. Yeah, so he never really shies away, whereas a lot of other producers, I think, do shy away from people, and I've been very fortunate that John has taken me, under his wing.
Yeah, definitely. I can definitely see that. Well, I'd love to, before we jump on...
If he retires, I'm dead.
Well, yeah, if he backs out, you have to...
I've told him that too. I said, you can't retire, because if you retire, no one else employs me.
He's like, come on, stay, please stay.
Yeah, I'll massage his feet.
Yeah.
Peel him some grapes.
You take care of him. You'll be like, I'll keep you in the business, mate.
But that's the thing, it's like, we have enormous respect for each other, and I have enormous respect for the way he treats me and the cast, and his love of showbiz, and I have the same love, and so it's a really great fit.
Yeah, well, it's always good to have those relationships as well, and like I said, keeps you employed, which is always nice. Well, I'd love to ask you our theatre thoughts questions, if you're up for it. We'll see how many we can get through, and just basically kind of like off the top of your head sort of things.
Okay.
All right, here we go. So I'd love to know, what has been your favourite production you've seen recently?
So Alone It Stands is on at the Ensemble Theatre at the moment with a group of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 or 8 actors. And it's written by a guy called John Breen, who's an Irish playwright. And it's about a little tiny Irish soccer team who took on the All Blacks, and the All Blacks were expected to win. And this little tiny Irish soccer team who'd never won anything in their lives beat the All Blacks.
Incredible.
And it was a really big deal. The thing I love about this production is that it's almost choreographed straight theatre. There's so much physical activity in it. And the 8 actors play the Irish team and the All Blacks.
Yeah, right.
And so they're constantly changing at the drop of a hat from Irish accents to New Zealand accents, and it must be. It's like acting gymnastics watching them, and then there's physicality because there's girls and boys playing rugby, and it was really fresh and exciting theatre. So
That's great.
I love the ensemble.
Yeah, I love Ensemble. I love going there. They do really good shows as well.
Well, I think their philosophy ensemble theatre is to put on shows that people actually want to see. Not just because they're ticking the artsy fartsy box.
Yeah.
For the Sydney elite, but they put on plays that people want to see, and it doesn't hurt to have a theatre that's sitting on the.
It's the nicest view going to that theatre. I always go early so I can sit at the bar and have a drink and just look out.
Same.
Great. All right. Well, I'd love to know, what is a dream role you'd love to tackle still?
Well, I haven't really got one. One of the roles. Well, I've ticked a lot of boxes in my life. I've reached a lot of goals, and goals I never even knew I'd reached. Like, I know what it's like to lead a hit show like Boy from Oz or whatever. I know what it's like I know what celebrity feels like.
Yeah.
I know what it's like to drive a television show. And so I kind of just let things sort of come to me, and I attack everything as it comes to me. And I've just finished doing 2 ABC drama series, which I've just had a ball doing. And so there's no particular role. My mum's favourite musical was Barnum.
Oh, okay.
And I was lucky enough a couple of years ago to do Barnum, but we only did it in Melbourne at the Comedy Theatre. And that was a role I'd always wanted to do. And I think that was the last one that was actually on my bucket list. And I kind of wanted to do it so Mum could see me do it. And also the guy who wrote Barnum, the musical, was a man called Mark Bramble. And Mark gave me my first lead role, and he directed 42nd Street. And Mark had always said to me throughout the years we kept in touch, and he'd always said to me, you should do Barnum one day, because he knew I had the circus skills and the acrobatic stuff. And he said, you should do Barnum one day. Anyway, when I got Barnum, I actually called him in New York, and I said, I'm doing Barnum. Can you come down and see it? And he said, yes. He said, I've always wanted to see you in it. And unfortunately, he passed away just as the show started, and he didn't make it. But so that was really the last show on my bucket.
Yeah. Oh, wow, what a story. All right.
Yeah.
Well, it's always hard as well, because obviously I know you got such a rich background, so it's always a tough question, that one. I'd love to know then, what's the most challenging show you've performed in?
There's a couple. Well, Boy from Oz was relentless as an actor, because you were only off stage to change your shirt and then you were back on, literally. So that was a mountain to climb. It was challenging because you were going from Peter Allen in concert to Peter Allen storytelling in his scenes. So you're going from a tender moment into dissolving into him on stage singing the song about that moment. And so the gear changes in that show for an actor were challenging. And that was actually the hardest thing, was the mental aspect of that. But I loved it. I just absolutely loved it. I mean, I finished The Boy from Oz flying in from the ceiling on a giant luminous banana in a pair of red Jean-Paul Gaultier sequin pajamas, singing I Go to Rio. I mean, what's not
to love about that? The best.
To die a happy man. If I never worked again, I would have been happy. But so that was a challenge. And then I did a play for Ensemble Theatre with Nancy Hayes called 6 Dance Lessons in 6 Weeks, which was just a two-hander, and that was the first straight play I'd ever done. And it was a challenge to, I realized in musical theatre how often when we're doing the scenes, we're really just heading towards the razzmatazz of the musical number. Well, in my sort of theatre, the razzmatazz of the musical number. And to not have that thing to aim for, it was challenging to kind of, I kept feeling like, oh, we should do a number here.
Yeah, it's like, when are we about to sing? I'm about to sing,
right?
Yeah,
it was kind of that.
Yeah.
The play was a huge hit. We ran for 2 years, and I loved it. But what I did come out of that realizing is that you can have the same feeling of when you've just finished a big number and the crowd go nuts. You can have that same feeling dramatically when you hit a certain scene right in the sweet spot, and you can feel the audience are sitting forward in their seats, buying the storytelling. So that became the replacement for the razzmatazz and the numbers, was trying to nail a scene. So I found that really challenging. And it was also so much dialogue because there was no song and dance. And so everything was spoken. There was big pages and pages of monologues, and that was hard to learn. But I loved it. And it taught me to act, to really act. Nancy Hayes taught me to really act from me watching her in that show.
Yeah, which is an incredible woman. Incredible.
Yes, I named my dog after her.
Exactly. Well, final question then is, which production would you most want to see come to Australia?
Oh, what would I like to see come to Australia? Well, I don't know. I don't really know what's on. I mean, I haven't done a ferret around the internet to see what is on. Do you know what I would love? Actually, I would love 42nd Street to come back, because the new production of 42nd Street, which I saw at Drury Lane, oh my God, they've supersized it. It's like a big sort of mummy of Broadway theatre. At its best. And the 42nd Street number at the end, the reprise, where all these dancers come over these giant staircases and these sequels. Have you seen
I saw it, I think, in like 2017, 18, when I lived in the UK, because my friend was like, if you love musical theatre, you have to see this. And I was like...
Didn't you love that finale where they just keep coming over the stairs and coming over the stairs?
It was incredible. I was like, by the end of it, I was just like... I actually was like looking at their bios afterwards. I was like... The stamina you need for that show is like on par with like got to be Olympic athletes.
Well, and also it's a cast of 50 people. Yeah. I know John Frost has the rights to do it, but it's a cast of 50 people. And in Australia, we just don't have the theatre going numbers, just sheer numbers to make it work.
Yeah,
I think it would just cost
such a
so
large
much
cast.
money.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's going to come to Australia anytime soon, but that I would love to see come to Australia.
Great. Excellent. Well, thank you so much for answering those questions. I love like seeing and picking like the minds of all my guests and seeing what they like about theatre. So it's really good, especially from someone who's with such a rich history as yourself. So thank you so much.
My pleasure.
So I'm going to take a quick little ad break and then we'll talk about The Odd Couple.
Hey guys, it is Ryan. I'm not sure if you know this about me, but I'm a bit of a fun fanatic when I can. I like to work, but I like fun too. It's a thing. And now the truth is out there. I can tell you about my favorite place to have fun. Chumba Casino. They have hundreds of social casino style games to choose from with new games released each week. You can play for free anytime, anywhere. And each day brings a new chance to collect daily bonuses. So join me in the fun. Sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Judy was boring.
Hello.
Then Judy discovered ChumbaCasino.com.
It's my little escape.
Now Judy's the life of the party.
Oh, baby, mama's bringing home the bacon.
Whoa, take it easy, Judy. The Chumba life is for everybody. So go to ChumbaCasino.com and play over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
So, The Odd Couple. So we all know, like, The Odd Couple, two different men, Felix and Oscar, couldn't be more opposite. It was the film in 1968, which was also written by Neil Simon, who I believe he won the Tony for Best Writer of a Play. The Odd Couple itself on Broadway was nominated for a Tony. So I'd love to know why do you Because, I mean, I kind of get an inkling, obviously you and Shane are perfect pairing, but why this play and why now?
Well, the way it came up. Well, I've always loved The Odd Couple. I grew up with it. I grew up with the TV show, and we always watched that when it was on. It was on in our lounge room, and the movie, of course, I'd seen. And the way this happened, though, is that Shane and I had such a great working relationship in Hairspray. He played the John Travolta role, Edna Turnblade, and I played his husband, Wilbur.
Yeah, I just remember I came to see the show at the Lyric, and it was on the weekend of, what was the big event? I think it was the World Mardi Gras or something like that.
Oh, World Pride.
World Pride, that was it. And it was the night where he kissed you, and I was like, was that staged? Was that not staged? Because your reaction was priceless.
He kissed me about 3 times, and I think I said to him, if you do it again, I'm going to have to charge you.
Yeah.
I was going to give you an invoice. Yeah. No, we had a ball. So there's a part, because I didn't want to do Hairspray because I thought I didn't really want to play a little old man, and it was a small role, and I'd just done Cinderella, which was a small role again, and I thought, I don't mind playing small roles, but 2 in a row, I thought I might get bored. And so I said no, and then John Frost and Shane got on the phone together with each other, and they both just ganged up on me. And Shane said, "No, come on, play my husband. It'll be fun. You won't have the pressure of, running the show." He said, "I'll be in drag in a fat suit. I'll be doing all the heavy lifting. You just have to toddle on, do a scene, and we get this great number in the second act." And so I did my due diligence and Googled, Wilbur and Edna Hairspray, and I saw the number and thought, well, it's the only number I get in the show, but what a number. Because built into the middle of that number is, even in the director's notes, I'll just turn that phone off, in the director's notes, is that the 2 actors can go off script, break the fourth wall a little bit. Yeah. And then the other note underneath it is to the resident director, which says, keep an eye on this. This can go on too long. And Shane and I are going, we don't know what you're talking about. Some nights we would go on, but that night that you saw it, that was World Pride. So Edna has to kiss Wilbur at some point, but it's normally just a little peck. But that night he kissed me 3 times. And I was like, I love Shane, but I never thought I would end up kissing him in front of 2,000 people every night. And it laughed. It made me laugh. And so Shane and I, towards the end of Hairspray, said, let's do a 2-man show together with just a piano, with Guy Noble on piano, where a bit like Martin Short and Steve Martin, a little along those lines, where I do 20 minutes, you do 20 minutes, we do 40 minutes together. We kind of sit on chairs, we interview each other, we sing songs related to each other's lives, and it'll be hysterical because we're both good off the cuff. And so we started to write it, and we'll still do it at some point. And we were thinking of names for it, and he wanted to call it Todd McKenney and Shane Jacobson Together at Last, Not That Anybody Asked for It.
That's great. That's a great name.
It's a great name. Or the other one we loved was Hottest Ticket in Town, Sydney Morning Herald.
Yes.
As the whole title. Anyway, and then I said to Shane, well, do you know what it is? Because we were saying, well, what is the show? I said, it's The Odd Couple. We're The Odd Couple. And Shane said, well, apart from the fact that Neil Simon's estate will sue us if we called it The Odd Couple, we should call it The Odd Couple. And then as we both said it, we went, we should do The Odd Couple at some point. And that seed planted. And then Frosty came to us at the end of the season, towards the end of the season of Hairspray, and was in my dressing room with Shane. And he said, I'd love you two to work together again. And Shane and I went, The Odd Couple.
Excellent.
And it happened. And now we're doing it. It happened really quickly. Frosty went, I love it. Let's do it. So it happened so fast.
That's so good. Yeah. Wow. Incredible. Well, it's going to be a great show because obviously you two have such chemistry. And like coming back to the Hairspray thing, I was sitting there thinking, like I've seen a lot of theatre and you can sometimes tell when there's a written like break the fourth wall, and sometimes you can't. And you guys were making me guess whether it was written or not.
Everybody did. It was the most common question after a show at Stage Door was, was that, and I still have people coming up to me saying, I was in the night that you and Shane cracked up. And I go,
oh, where are you now? Where are you?
Oh, where is it?
But the audience walk away with that feeling. They go, when I saw it, they broke up laughing. And they're, oh my God, that's so cool.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is though, and this is the thing I love about working with Shane, we're both so comfortable with each other that no matter who lobs something theatrically at the other one, you know the other one is going to pick it up.
Yeah.
And you don't know how they're going to pick it up, but you trust that it's going to be picked up in a way that you can play with it. And that's the relationship that Shane and I have with each other. But we have that in our everyday life together as well. So that's rare. So we're not really faking it. And in that moment in Hairspray, we never actually did the same thing twice. So that's what kept it fresh.
Yeah. And do you think you're going to find it difficult to do that around like a written script that like requires that back and forth, but it's as written?
That's a great question. And that was one of the first questions that we asked Mark Kilmurray, who is the director, whether we can break the fourth wall. It's written and it's actually stated that the actors shouldn't break the fourth wall.
Yeah, right.
It's Shane and I.
Yeah. How are you going to do it?
and the director's not going to be there every night.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's it. He's going, whoa,
you just need to know. Yeah, we just need to know the nights that he's not there. So we're actually going to play with that during rehearsals. And it might not be breaking the fourth wall. It might be just a look to each other, a pause, and then move on.
Yeah, right.
So we stay in the world. We let the audience know that that's a little bit of a camp idea that just happened there. Especially because people know also they know about me. They know that I'm gay. They know that Shane's really straight. And so that kind of changes. And it's a little bit of it's almost written, there's a slight gay overtone whole thing.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Right? Just in the way it's written. I don't know whether it was intended, but in the way we look at two men sharing a house together these days, it certainly is heightened in today's society, probably more so than when it was written in 1968. So I think we'll see whether we can lean into that without bastardizing the piece.
Yeah, right. I think that's great. Very exciting. I'm very excited to see it. It's going to be a laugh a minute.
I hope it's not a flop. Oh my God.
Can you imagine?
Everybody's going, this is such a great, this is a no-brainer. I just say to Shane, we better get this right,
Yeah, exactly. Well, go on. I'm sure you'll be fine. I'm sure you'll be fine. Well, before we finish up, I'd love to ask you the question I ask all my guests who come on. I'd love to know, in your experience, how has the theatre industry changed over the years, and how have those changes sort of impacted the work that you do and participate in?
Oh, it's changed. It's really different. I think many regards in a good way. And in some regards, I think we're suffering a little bit from the sign of the times. I think it's really important that we're focusing on having a safe working space across all departments and across every industry, to be honest with you. But I wonder whether we're just policing that a little bit too far and maybe igniting problems by really dissecting what a safe space is and all of that. I think a lot of it's got to do with decency, common sense, intelligence, respect, made for everybody. But we seem to keep having workshops about every aspect of the safe place. And I think that sometimes can sanitize the situation too much. I just wonder whether we've sort of done that and the pendulum needs to sort of come back to some sort of middle ground. Because again, it comes back to decency and respect. And you're always going to have buffoons who carry on. I think the most important thing that we've done is that we've really head-on faced any bullying.
Yeah.
And sexual discrimination or sexual harassment. I think that's really important because you look at what we do, which is completely unique to almost any other industry.
Yeah, of course.
Is that we spend hours in the semi-darkness backstage in our underwear.
Yeah. That's the reality of it. Yeah.
That's what we do. And so you must know that space, it's a space of respect. It's part of what you have to do. And I think cleaning that up and putting a focus on that is great. But I come from a part of the industry, a time in the industry where there seemed to be more fun backstage.
Right. Okay.
I wonder whether we're just knocking a bit of the fun out of it because of the rules and regulations. I get why they're there.
Okay.
I'm glad that I've experienced both.
Yeah, because you would have seen both sides of this
I've
industry.
been there through the change.
Yeah.
You just sort of have to second guess everything, and I don't know. I think it's done for the right reasons. I think the bottom line is, I mean, we sit through 3 or 4 workshops during every rehearsal period. I've done those workshops 5 or 6 times
I'm sure
now.
you have.
I mean, and I've never harassed or sexually harassed or bullied anybody, right? But I get why we have to do it. But it's to me, it's about, we are so lucky to work in theatre. We're so lucky. We work in a job where if we do our job right, 2,000 people are going to go, hooray.
Yeah, exactly. It's a massive thing.
My friends who are nurses, they think what I do, getting clapped and getting champagne on opening nights and flowers, is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I get that.
I totally get it.
I totally get it. And none of them, a lot of my friends are nurses, none of them send me anything on opening night.
Probably sick of it by now. Like, you don't need it.
Yeah, they're like, do you know what I did today? I took a guy's tracheotomy out. You know, I sucked the phlegm out of a man's throat through a tube, and no one sent me flowers. You know, and I get that. It's the great leveler. But you know, the bottom line is that we're in a blessed position to do something that people love. We are in a luxury industry. We're an industry that is designed to make people think and feel good. And they've spent their money to come and see a show. And I think the most important thing is just to realize that it's really important for us to turn up, do the 8 shows a week, not take 65 shows off during a season. And that's something I think that we need to watch. And support each other, nurture each other, and just realize that we are doing, you can only do theatre if you love it.
Yeah.
Because there are days where your dog's passed away, where you've smashed the car on the way to work, and you just do not want to get on the stage. Yeah. But you have to, because the same thing could have happened to 20 people in the audience. And so I just think we've got to realize and always remember what a cherished position we're in. And I hope, and it's not just all about rules and regulations, it's about, you know, love and giving people a couple of hours of respite from what could have been a really nasty day for them. Yeah, exactly. And, you know, and just remember that that's what we do. So. Yeah, great. Well said. I couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you so much. Well, sorry, I was about to call you Shane. I had Shane in my head. I'm so sorry, Todd. I'm so sorry. We're so similar.
Well, Todd, thank you so much for joining me for this chat. This has been amazing. Thank you so much for your time, and I'm really excited to see the show. It's going to be a hoot, an absolute hoot.
Don't put pressure on me. It's going to be terrible. It's going to be hideous. If it's good, it'll be a nice surprise.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much.
My pleasure. It's been lovely chatting to you.
A massive thank you to Todd McKenney for joining us for our very first episode of Season 4. You can see Shane Jacobson and Todd McKenney star in The Odd Couple at the Comedy Theatre Melbourne from the 18th of May until the 16th of June. In Sydney, you can see The Odd Couple at the Theatre Royal Sydney from the 27th of June until the 21st of July. Tickets and information can be found in this episode's description. This episode was produced by Echidna Audio. Follow them on Instagram at Echidna Audio for all their audio services. Once again, if you enjoyed our podcast, leave us a review wherever you get your podcasts and head to the link in this episode's description for our Instagram account, TikTok, YouTube, and Patreon. My name's Justin Clark, and I'll see you next time here on the Theatre Thoughts Podcast.
Have you ever wondered how your favorite performer actually feels? Well, here's your chance. Welcome to The Quiet Part Out Loud with me, Bobby Steggert, Broadway actor and now a therapist to a whole host of Broadway creatives. Part interview, part therapy, this is not your typical podcast. We'll go right to the heart of things with some of your favorite artists, what they still struggle with, what lessons they've learned, what they haven't figured out yet. There's enormous power in saying the quiet part out loud. Are you listening?
Okay, round two. Name something that's not boring.
A laundry? Ooh, a book club. Computer solitaire, huh?
Ah, oh, sorry, we were looking for Chumba Casino. That's right, ChumbaCasino.com has over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.